This is undeniably the most outstanding gangster film in the history of South Korean cinema. Welcome to Oriental Frames. Thank you for your watching and subscribing. The chairman of the largest gang in Korea, the Gold Moon Group, gets arrested, triggering an internal struggle for power within the organization. As the chairman's most trusted confidant, Director Choi staunchly denies being an undercover agent for the police, even in the face of imminent death. No matter how hard he tries to explain, Lee Ja-sung, seated across from him, remains unmoved. Since they've been brought here, there's no reason for him to leave alive. As cement is poured into the iron barrel, Director Choi eventually becomes the traitor who betrays the chairman, sealed in the iron barrel and sinking into the depths of the sea. Little does he know that Lee Ja-sung, the one orchestrating this operation, is the true undercover agent for the police. But for Lee Ja-sung, it doesn't matter anymore. As per the plan, once the chairman is brought to justice, he can finally end his 8-year undercover mission. However, things take an unexpected turn. Despite years of gathering solid evidence, Lee Ja-sung believed it was enough to ensure a lifelong imprisonment for the chairman. Unfortunately, the court, influenced by the powerful criminal protection, dismisses all charges, citing insufficient evidence, leading to the chairman's release. This means that Lee Ja-sung's years of undercover work were almost in vain. However, a dramatic change occurs at this point. On the first day of the chairman's newfound freedom, a sudden car accident ends his life. Regardless of the identity of the killer, the unexpected death of the chairman reignites Lee Ja-sung's hope of returning to the police force. Yet, things don't unfold as he expects. A plan called New World is quietly brewing among the top ranks of the police. The Gold Moon Group, unlike traditional gangs, is a conglomerate formed by the alliance of the 3 largest gangs in Korea, extending its influence into 8 major economic sectors. It has become an immensely powerful and complex criminal organization. To prevent the Gold Moon Group from evolving into the largest mafia in Korea, the top echelons of the police, led by Chief Kong, have been trying to find ways to eliminate this menace but have consistently failed. However, with the sudden demise of the chairman, the police, who recently suffered defeat in court, see another opportunity to dismantle the Gold Moon Group. The balance within the organization, maintained by the 3 major internal forces, heavily relied on the authoritarian management style of the deceased chairman. Now, with the absolute power of chairman abruptly ending, the question of who will become the new chairman becomes the most challenging issue for the Gold Moon Group. Currently, there are 3 eligible candidates for the chairman election within the group. Firstly, there's Hoon-jung. Hoon-jung, a Chinese Korean, is also Lee Ja-sung's closest brother. Even when returning from China to Korea, Hoon-jung never forgets to bring gifts for him. Despite being officially the 3rd in command, he controls all the core business of the group and was the designated successor by Chairman Lee. The second candidate is Executive Director Lee Jung-gu, formerly the trusted right-hand man of Chairman Lee. However, due to Hoon-jung's inclusion, he was pushed to the 4th position within the group, leading to irreconcilable conflicts. Yet, he holds significant influence within the organization, and after Chairman Lee's demise, Lee Jung-gu is likely to gain substantial support from the faction loyal to the deceased chairman. The 3rd candidate is Vice Chairman Jang Soo-ki, who holds the 2nd highest position in the group but has been in semi-retirement due to the decline of his faction. In the current situation, the succession battle in the Gold Moon Group primarily revolves around Hoon-jung and Lee Jung-gu. To intervene in the upcoming chairman election and thereby control the Gold Moon Group, the police decide to manipulate the selection of the new chairman through an undercover operation, naming this plan the New World Project. As Hoon-jung's most trusted aide, Lee Ja-sung becomes a crucial figure in this plan. Upon learning that he has to continue his undercover mission, Lee Ja-sung's emotions spiral out of control. Without approval, he directly confronts Chief Kong at the meeting point, loudly questioning why the original agreement isn't being honored. Since Chairman Lee is dead, his mission should be over. Seeing his undercover operative acting so recklessly, Chief Kong is infuriated. He rebukes Lee Ja-sung's irrational behavior and reminds him that only 3 people know his identity in the police force, and all 3 are orchestrators of the New World Project. If he refuses to execute the new mission, there will be no one to help him restore his police identity. Rather than a superior reprimanding a subordinate, it feels more like a blatant threat. Yet, Chief Kong understands that for the smooth progression of the New World Project, Lee Ja-sung's involvement is indispensable. After the warning, Chief Kong doesn't forget to appease Lee Ja-sung, stating that considering his current position and actions within the Gold Moon Group, if he were to regain his police identity now, the group would not let him off easily. In a final effort to secure Lee Ja-sung, Chief Kong, before leaving, specifically hands him some baby clothes and toys. This revelation shocks Lee Ja-sung since he never reported the news of his wife's pregnancy to his superiors. Chief Kong, however, is well informed about his current situation, leaving Lee Ja-sung with little room for choice. Simultaneously, to stabilize the current situation where the group is leaderless, the senior members of the organization propose an urgent election for the new chairman, scheduled for this month's interim board meeting. Both candidates, Hoon-jung and Lijang, express their agreement with the senior's opinions. However, right after the meeting, Lijang confronts Hoon-jung in the parking lot, issuing a veiled threat, signaling the beginning of their power struggle. Lijang swiftly initiates his campaign, gathering the faction elders to ensure their full support. The three elders pledge their unwavering backing for his ascent, but their primary concern is what rewards they will receive once Lijang assumes power. To their astonishment, Lijang's response is beyond their wildest expectations.
살려는 드릴게.
It is precisely because of Lijang's wild and unruly nature that foreshadows his future outcome. In contrast to Lijang's arrogance, Hoon-jung displays the calm demeanor expected of a leader. He doesn't rush into campaigning but plans to return to Shanghai, China, to settle outstanding matters. After arranging everything, he remains concerned about his close friend Lijang, repeatedly cautioning him to be vigilant against Lijang. Little does he know that the person he considers a brother poses a much greater threat than Lijang. Thanks to Lijang's tip-off, the police intercept Hoon-jung at the airport. Upon meeting, Chief Kang gets straight to the point, handing him a file containing evidence against Lijang. Hoon-jung immediately understands the intentions. The police aim to intervene in the chairman election. Although Hoon-jung appears nonchalant, he is principled. In his eyes, this is an internal matter for the Gold Moon Group, and he won't allow external interference. Chief Kang, knowing Hoon-jung well, expected this and calmly hands over another set of documents. Upon inspecting the contents, Hoon-jung's expression changes dramatically. The file contains detailed information about many of his secrets, leaving him astonished. This is precisely the effect Chief Kang wanted. He reminds Hoon-jung, considering the same two sets of documents presented to Lijang, how would he react? Hoon-jung understands Lijang's nature. If the police genuinely collaborate with Lijang, it would spell doom for Hoon-jung and possibly the entire Gold Moon Group. However, this is based on his own assumptions. After Hoon-jung's refusal, Chief Kang doesn't approach Lijang for cooperation. Instead, he serves him with a court subpoena, making the arrest at this critical moment. Such a decisive move by the police inevitably leads Lijang to contemplate the mastermind behind the scenes. At the same time, after the conversation with Chief Kang, Hoon-jung initiates his own plan. Although he doesn't know the exact intentions of the police, he is certain that his organization has been fully infiltrated, and he must uncover who the undercover agent is. To ensure a tight operation, he has 4 veteran assassins from Yanbian, China, ready to act upon his command. When Hoon-jung returns from Shanghai, Lijang is already behind bars. Despite Hoon-jung's attempts to provide some necessary explanations, the simple-minded Lijang refuses to listen to any arguments, and they part ways on unfriendly terms. The meeting with Lijang makes Hoon-jung realize the danger. Clearly, the police didn't arrest Lijang to assist him in gaining power. To prevent the situation from escalating further, Hoon-jung plans to bribe Chief Kang into making concessions, but he is sternly rejected. For Chief Kang, the New World project has evolved beyond a point where money can resolve matters. He informs Hoon-jung that all actions against the Gold Moon Group have one purpose: to make them assess the situation and cooperate with the police. Chief Kang's words ring true because bringing down the colossal Gold Moon Group is no easy task. It took 8 years to cultivate Lijang as an undercover agent. Despite collecting ample evidence, Chairman Lee managed to escape legal consequences. This bitter lesson led Chief Kang and other high-ranking police officials to the realization that since eradicating this cancer proved impossible, they must retain and control it, which is the ultimate goal of the New World project. Hoon-jung doesn't provide an immediate answer. He promises to give Chief Kang a satisfactory response soon, a response that will ultimately plunge him into the abyss. In reality, just a few days ago, Hoon-jung spent a considerable amount of money to hire Chinese hackers who successfully breached the confidential files of the South Korean Police Intelligence Division. He now holds all the information about the undercover agents within the group. Coincidentally, as he receives a call from Lijang, Hoon-jung arranges a meeting in the warehouse that evening and instructs the Chinese Yanbian assassins to take action. Sensing that this meeting is far from ordinary, Lijang, surprised by Hoon-jung's unannounced return to Korea, arrives at the designated warehouse. Indeed, Hoon-jung has a surprise for him. The woman in the barrel is Lijang's police contact. When Hoon-jung hands over the 2 personnel files, Lijang realizes that his cover has been blown. What he never expected is that the other undercover agent revealed by Hoon-jung is one of his subordinates, leaving Lijang stunned. He never thought that this subordinate, who had been with him for over 6 years, was also a police officer. In front of Lijang, Hoon-jung personally severs the undercover police officer's neck. This was Hoon-jung's best response. To spare his contact from suffering, Lijang risked his life, pulled out his gun, and shot her. Hoon-jung's response completely infuriated Chief Kang, who decided to detonate the bomb that was Lee Jung-gu prematurely. Despite Lee Jung-gu's arrogance, he still had some concerns about Young-chung. However, when Chief Kong handed him the prepared photos, Lee Jung-gu finally harbored murderous intent toward Young-chung. Instigated by Chief Kong, Lee Jung-gu launched an attack on Young-chung. Caught off guard, Young-chung had no choice but to fight barehanded. Chaotic shouts and screams echoed through the entire parking lot as reinforcements from both sides continuously arrived. With the cover of his subordinates, Young-chung retreated to the entrance of an elevator, only to find another wave of assassins waiting inside. As the elevator doors closed slowly, the epic showdown of the elevator battle god unfolded. What seemed to be a predictable group ambush turned into a thrilling scene. Faced with 6 assassins wielding long knives, Young-chung, armed with only a single blade, held his ground in the confined space of the elevator. However, 2 fists were ultimately no match for 4 hands. Soon, Young-chung sat slumped on the floor, and one of the assassins seized the opportunity to stab him in the abdomen, but Young-chung managed to retaliate. When the elevator doors opened again, not a single assassin walked out alive, while Young-chung, in the corner, emerged as the victorious god of war. When Lee Jung-gu's subordinates arrived at Lee Ja-sung's home, Lee Ja-sung's wife was already under police protection. However, she was still frightened by the situation, leading to a miscarriage. Simultaneously, none of Young-chung's subordinates survived. Fortunately, Lee Ja-sung and Chief Kong managed to escape unscathed during their secret meeting. As Jang Soo-ki slowly entered the scene, Chief Kong finally revealed the true New World plan to Lee Ja-sung. From the beginning, the police had excluded Young-chung and Lee Jung-gu as potential collaborators because their influence within the Gold Moon Group was too significant, making it challenging for the police to control any potential cooperation. The out-of-favor Jang Soo-ki was undoubtedly the ideal candidate for collaboration. To help Jang Soo-ki ascend, Chief Kong successfully set up a trap using Lee Ja-sung's intelligence, inciting the battle between Young-chung and Lee Jung-gu. Now, the 2 most competitive candidates were either imprisoned or lying in the elevator, leaving the initially weakest contender, Jang Soo-ki, as the only candidate for the chairman position. It can be said that at this stage of the New World Plan, the course of events unfolded largely within Chief Kang's expectations. After Jang Soo-ki leaves, Chief Kong informs Lee Ja-sung that once Jang Soo-ki takes over, the next step for the police is to have Lee Ja-sung replace him, becoming the true leader of the Gold Moon Group. Chief Kong emphasizes the reliability of using someone from within rather than controlling a puppet. This infuriates Lee Ja-sung. The promised 3 years have turned into a lifetime as an undercover agent, and he no longer wants to live this blood-soaked life on the edge. Chief Kong, however, tells him that this is currently the only way to protect him. Just a few days ago, hackers breached all the data in the police intelligence division, including information on all undercover agents, including Lee Ja-sung. Surprisingly, Young-chung did not kill him. Although the reasons for Young-chung's actions are unknown, Lee Ja-sung's police records have disappeared from the world. When Lee Ja-sung arrives at the hospital, Young-chung is already lying in bed unable to move. The opportunistic elders immediately propose that Jang Soo-ki preside over the upcoming chairman election. After both Young-chung and Lee Jung-gu were ousted, Jang Soo-ki continued to move around, garnering support. Despite initially lacking real power, he began recruiting his own underlings. Chief Kong, adept at calculations, had anticipated Jang Soo-ki's ambitions. He called Lee Ja-sung to their meeting point, informing him that due to insufficient evidence, Lee Jung-gu would soon be released and warning Lee Ja-sung not to let Young-chung's people act. The release of Lee Jung-gu at this specific time was a clear move to balance the rising power of Jang Soo-ki. Chief Kong knew that cooperation with Jang Soo-ki, relying solely on verbal agreements, was not enough. Having a formidable enemy by Jang Soo-ki's side would provide both sides with leverage in their cooperation. Furthermore, planning for Lee Ja-sung to replace Jang Soo-ki and deal with Lee Jung-gu's presence was deemed necessary. However, Chief Kong, the mastermind behind all calculations, overlooked a crucial issue. Lee Ja-sung, who had been deceived time and again, was beginning to waver internally. Young-chung called Lee Ja-sung into the hospital room, dismissed the others present, and asked Lee Ja-sung to come closer to his bedside. Looking at the big brother who once laughed and argued, now lying faintly on the bed, Lee Ja-sung could no longer hold back his tears. He felt deep remorse for the years of deception. Seeing Lee Ja-sung, who was now so despondent and hesitant, Young-chung decided to help his brother make a choice. He didn't want Lee Ja-sung to become a sacrifice for Chief Kong and Jang Soo-ki. If he died now, Lee Ja-sung would have the qualifications to run for chairman. Only by becoming the new chairman would he have a chance to survive.
Hey, brother. 너 많이 힘들어 뵌다. 그러지 말고 알아. 내가 살면 너 어떡하려고 그래. 나 감당할 수 있겠냐? 어시야지. 나도 자이랑 과자금 이빠이마.
After Hoon-jung's death, Lee Ja-sung took over his former influence. Lee Ja-sung entered Hoon-jung's office, opened the safe, and found his police records along with a fake Rolex watch inside. In that moment, tears welled up in Lee Ja-sung's eyes. He chose to wear the fake Rolex watch, choosing his own path. Soon the day for the chairman election arrived. However, before Lee Ja-sung could step out of his house, Jang Soo-ki surprisingly sent a car to pick him up. His sole purpose was to eliminate the only person who knew about his collusion with the police before Lee Ja-sung was elected chairman. However, Jang Soo-ki did not anticipate that the henchman he recruited had already been bribed by Lee Ja-sung. At the same time, Lee Jung-gu, who had been released, did not wait for his subordinates at the prison gate. He knew that in the struggle against Young-chung, he had already lost. At the meeting point, when Chief Kong saw the Chinese Yanbian assassins entering, he realized that the new world plan he had orchestrated had completely failed. Chief Kong, who had calculated everything, ultimately tasted the poison he had planted himself. All other high-ranking police officials were also assassinated. After eliminating everyone who knew about his identity as a police officer, Lee Ja-sung finally completely shook off his undercover status. At the board meeting of the organization, due to Jang Soo-ki and Lee Jung-gu being unable to attend the election, Lee Ja-sung, as the sole candidate, smoothly became the new chairman of the Gold Moon Group, marking the beginning of his era for the new Gold Moon. This is the new world sent by his brother Young-chung. On one side, there is the police force representing justice but always treating themselves as pawns, and on the other side, there is the criminal brotherhood representing evil but with a sense of loyalty and camaraderie. If you were Lee Ja-sung, what choice would you make? No voiceover can replicate the charm of the original film. A great movie deserves to be experienced in its full plot. Thank you for your watching and subscribing.
씻고 영화나 보러 가자. 무슨 영화? 뭔 영화? 떡 영화지.